It's a world-renowned classic dessert, but today I'm making it all at home. And I'm taking the best of both worlds by combining half of it with delicious pistachios and the other half with delicious walnuts. It's going to be so good, so delicious, and I'll show you just how I make it. So let's get started. Okay, so to make our baklava, first and foremost, it starts out by making the sherbet. So I have a saucepan here, and to that I'm going to add about 1 1/4 cup of white sugar and about 3/4 cup of just plain water. And I'm going to add just a pinch of lemon juice and a piece of lemon wedge and give it a stir. And literally, I'm going to let this simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes, just until it becomes a nice sugar syrup. Okay, so now it's time to start assembling our delicious baklava. So, I have my yufka dough here that I've been keeping protected under a damp cloth because I don't want it to dry out. And then I also have my pan that I'm using. So you can use any size pan. I'm really going homemade because I'm just using a simple glass pan. But traditionally, it's made in aluminum pans, and this is the most classic way of making baklava. But for homemade, this is okay to use. So first and foremost, I'm going to start by taking some butter and just coating the bottom of my pan and all along the sides of my pan to just kind of create a nice base for our delicious baklava. So good. I think baklava is one of those desserts that's done so many different ways by so many different nations, so many different people groups. And they're all delicious in their own way, but I think it's just whatever is familiar to you, sometimes the most delicious. Okay, so now I'm going to start layering my yufka. So what I've done is I cut my yufka pieces to fit my pan. So really, they normally come in really long sheets. So it's really important that you customize it to fit your pan. So I'm just going to take a piece of my yufka and then another piece of my yufka, just like that. And I think one of the most beautiful things about baklava is the layers. There's so many delicious layers of this flaky dough. So again, I'm just going to take some of the butter and just gently, because I don't want to break my yufka. It's super, super delicate, paper thin, so it's really important that we are delicate with it. So again, I'm going to take just a couple more sheets here. Yufka. And they're so thin, you kind of just have to peel them apart gently. Just sheet by sheet, almost like you're dealing with paper, but a super thin dough, just like that. Like see-through. And it is totally possible to make your own yufka at home, and it's super simple, it's not so complex. But I think the hardest part is it's similar to making a strudel dough, except it's even thinner, and you really have to roll it out quite thin. So, you know, I think if you're an expert with the rolling pin, then it would probably be a fun little project for you. But I find that it's so much easier just to buy the yufka or to buy the phyllo dough in the store. They make it so well. Leave it to the experts. Again, I'm going to keep on layering. So I'm going to do about 2 more layers. And then what I have for my filling is I'm doing a combination. So I prepared some chopped walnuts here that I've chopped up nice and finely. You can just also buy them pre-chopped. But then I also have some Antep, Gaziantep some Gaziantep pistachios, which are some of my favorite pistachios in the world. They're so good, so delicious. And I'm going to do a combo. I'm going to do half of the walnuts and half of the Gaziantep pistachios to really create a really unique homemade baklava. So I'm going to continue with my layers, and then it'll be time to add my pistic, my pistachios, and my walnuts. It's going to be so good. Okay, so I've been layering. I have about 10 layers of the yufka dough. So nice and thin, with butter coated in between each layer. And then what I've already started doing is taking some of my delicious pistachios, my Antep pistic, and layering them on one side. So I'm going to continue just to add a few more. And nice thick layer of pistachios. And then to the other side, I have my delicious chopped walnuts. So this is going to be a crowd pleaser, a little bit of taste for everyone. So pistachios, some walnuts, some who want some of both. Beautiful. So now what I'm going to do is continue layering more yufka, because of course we have to cover this and continue creating our layers. So I have my yufka that I've covered here, and I'm going to continue adding some more layers, and then it'll be time to top with a few more pistachios, a few more of our walnuts, and we will have our delicious baklava. So let's get layering. Just bit by bit, again, we just take our yufka, piece by piece, carefully pulling it apart. And it's totally okay if it rips a little bit, because you can just kind of piece it together. It's just mainly like the top layer that's really important, that kind of has a more beautiful presentation. So I'm going to continue layering, and then it'll be time to finish off our delicious baklava. So good. Okay, so I have assembled over 30 layers of delicious yufka and our pistachios and our walnuts, half and half on both sides to make a delicious 2 baklava in 1. So now what I'm going to do is cut it. So there are a myriad of different ways that you can cut it, but basically I'm going to cut in diagonal strips. So it does take a little bit of pressing down on a sharp knife to cut it. But I find relief in this because I've even seen the baklava experts, and they have to also press down pretty hard, so I know that it's not just me. So I'm going to continue cutting, just pressing down, but also being gentle enough with the yufka, because it does move a little bit as you cut it. So, but this is so important in finishing off the baklava, because as it cooks, it raises up in little pieces, and it's so essential to cut it beforehand before baking. So, again, I'm just going to keep on cutting this. And what's beautiful about the art of making baklava is you see it with the yufka and then rolling out the dough. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful process to actually make it completely from scratch. But although we are using the dough, it still is, you know, really a labor of love to prepare baklava. So it's something super special. If you ever go to somebody's house and they make you homemade baklava, you know that you have been an honored guest, yeah? Okay, so I'm going to continue cutting, and then once I'm done cutting, I'm going to top it off with the butter, and then it'll be time to pop it in my oven. So good. Okay, so now I finished cutting my baklava into nice little squares here, as you can see. Looks so good. So now I'm just going to take the rest of my melted butter and just spread it right over the top of my baklava. This is definitely not necessarily a butterfree dessert by any means, but it's one of those special occasion desserts. You know what I mean? Not every day, but once in a while it's really delicious. And I'm just kind of brushing it to make sure it's a nice even layer. And then what I'm going to do is any type of edges that I have, I just want to tuck it just a little bit with my knife, just like that. And now it's time to go into my oven. My oven has been preheating, it's hot and ready to go on 190 degrees Celsius. And it's time to bake my delicious baklava. And then we will be able to enjoy. So good. Okay, so my baklava has been baking and it smells so good. And in the meantime, I just brought my simple syrup back up to a light boil, so it's all ready to go for my baklava. So I'm going to set this here and then take my baklava out of the oven now. Oh man, perfectly golden brown, and you can already see the layers and layers of yufka. I mean, over 30 layers. This is going to be some nice, crispy, delicious baklava. So now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my simple syrup and just pour it over my baklava. Just liberally. And as you pour it, the baklava just starts to rise. Beautiful. Oh, gorgeous. I love making baklava because it's such a beautiful creation. And this part, I mean, you should have someone in the kitchen with you, because for all the work that you do to prepare it, And then to see that delicious bubbliness, I mean, check that out. Do you see that? So good, guys. And I wish you could smell how delicious this smells right now. Oh man, this is gonna be so yum. So I made this to give as a gift, but now I'm wondering, I think I should at least taste test it, don't you? I think I should taste test it. Anyway, so I'm gonna let my baklava rest as the delicious simple serve by sherbet melts into the baklava as it cools, and yeah, it's gonna be so good. So thank you so much for checking out this video for how to make homemade baklava all at home. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I also hope that you give it a try for yourself in your home kitchen. You can make a great party or shindig with your friends to make some baklava, and I hope that you enjoy. Thanks so much as always for watching this video, and until the next one, I can't wait to see you next time. See ya!